A registered broker-dealer and investment advisor member, FINRA SIPC.
O'Brien Retirement Investment Group and Independent Financial Group are unaffiliated entities.
Seat of Honor. Brought to you by Densmore Oil and Bugbee Plumbing. He's up late to give you the news you can't get anywhere else early. He fights for truth and justice and the American way. Please welcome our pal from the Paragon Trust Company, the real Tony D. Tony D'Angelo.
All righty, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Always an honor and a pleasure to bring on the one and only Tony D'Angelo. Where can you find him? Well, go up on the X, Tony D'Angelo 7. He's got his own YouTube page, got his own YouTube show, and he's also up on Talk Red Media every single week as well, and he's a good friend, and that's Tony D. Tony, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Elci. Good morning, everyone. I'm proud to be among you.
All right, so you wanted to pick up from Aaron Stewart and this insane, what seems to be a debacle from, at least from everybody's point of view, about her campaign. What's happening?
I think that's when you stop at debacle from everybody's point of view, I think that's a good place to begin. I'm going to call the balls and strikes today. Where I started, when I originally had different plans for this segment, but I started last night. Actually, I had forgotten. What I'm forgetting these days is unbelievable. But I went to Grok and I said, Grok, tell me every place where Tony D'Angelo has brought up some sort of scandal from, you can try this yourself, about Governor Ned Lamont. I didn't say King Governor Ned Lamont, the unaccountable, on the Elci show. So what did it give me? And this all started here. Okay. This all started because of you, allowing me. Semaphore, the state selling genetic information to Semaphore, Digital Currency Group, Advanced CT, Horse Barn Hill Investment Fund, 4CT. Remember the cash cards and the promises of voting? You actually play that as a soundbite. I was telling somebody about that last night. Unite CT, the N. Lamont software in the COVID rental thing. The Cayman Islands Tidal River Fund, Yale Ventures, the private email server, the PPE purchases where the supplies didn't catch up to the dollars. Now, in each and every one of these things, we've gone hard. We've shown, like the term they use is show the receipts. I'm old fashioned. I say show the documentation. No one's ever questioned it. No one's ever refuted it. No one's ever come, it's been, quote unquote, an accepted part of the legacy, if you will, of Governor Ned Lamont. And then I was sitting there and saying, Elci, we have an entity known as the Connecticut Republican Party. And you and I have had these discussions, warts and all. It never really seemed to pick up in any one of these things. We've had the discussion saying that, corruption's not important. Okay. We've heard the chairman of the Republican Party say that. In fact, I think he said it on this very program. But then we have this thing now with Aaron Stewart, and which is, quote unquote, the use of the P card. There's been other things that have come out as far as, quote unquote, her governance as mayor over the time she was in New Britain. And we've watched a series of, kind of wan and dopey explanations. And at the end of 36 hours of silence, we get one paragraph. It was clearly written by a PR firm. It's like that had PR written all over it. And this is what you got. And then all of a sudden, Elci, something dawns on me. Corruption matters. Okay. Now corruption matters. And I began to think, okay, that happens once in a while. Has this reticence, this is me talking to what's left of my brain, has this reticence of Republicans to pursue anything meaningful whatsoever with respect to cleaning house, and does it have something to do with their, quote unquote, their gold standard candidate? This, I'm not making this accusation. This is a question. Has a glass jaw, And then it's like, here we are, we press towards true north. And then it's like, well, where's true north? I mean, this is kind of what you got. And then I said to myself, and I kind of felt used up. if you know this, since we've started with this, you've had 6 years to clean up the mess, and you haven't done it. And then this is just surface indication. And the other thing is, it's either, you knew or you didn't know. Nothing is good. And then you say, for every, crusade we see against corruption, like this thing with the nonprofit reforms, it's like, I shake my head. It's like, it doesn't reform anything. And I know you're going to lose. I know that, quote unquote, they're never going to take this for you. But I mean, it's like, we're going to have nonprofit reforms and we're not going to know who's steering the money. We're going to have nonprofit reforms and we're not going to have FOIs into these nonprofits. I mean, what about the citizen Doge, right? I mean, like, are we so stupid that we can't see what the hell we're doing? I mean, frankly, I kind of adopt the thing that no matter how badly we do, we can't do any worse than you. And it's like, and no one through all this has questioned all the Ned deals, scams, whatever the case may be. And my first thought is, I think where I've been wandering in the wilderness saying, why? It's like, now I think I might know. and that's my first thought.
Yeah. So, well, what's the conclusion? I mean,
well, I go towards a conclusion, and how could I put it? I've always had, I can't tell you the regard I have for the show, the regard for the truth. I'm talking to gas bags yesterday. It's like, well, you're not seeing half of it. There's all this other stuff. It's like, look, I mean, we don't deal in accusation here. We deal in truth and in facts when it doesn't look like anybody else is really doing it. And I hate to tell you something, okay? I hate to say this, but it's true. When you start playing fast and loose and saying, oh, it doesn't matter, and this is great, and I'm buying ice cream, and I'm buying and whatever the case may be, I want you to govern. I don't want you to be a party planner. Is this now the acceptable standard of government? Like, it's funny. I was thinking about this morning, holding both my hands up. The radio people can't see it. Aaron Stewart is not John Gotti. Okay. Aaron Stewart is not John Gotti, but I used to work with people in New York who were in John Gotti's neighborhood. Oh, dear Lord, don't you dare say mobster around these people. Because basically, John Gotti was the party guy. He brought the fireworks. He brought the ice cream. He cleaned up the block. And you know something? It's like, but where did it get these people over time? That's really my fundamental point. It takes so much more than that. This bar is just too low. Now I'm reading last night the comments. The Facebook comments are friendlier than the Twitter comments about what's taking place. And it's like, one guy said it here, I somehow dropped his name, with respect to the statement. This doesn't explain any of the charges. All you're really saying is you stole less from taxpayers than the Lamont. This is the mindset of, quote unquote, the voter, the person that's out there. And that's the thing that really, I don't know. I mean, had a very nice discussion with a very nice young man who's very committed to the Republican mission. And I was explaining to him that I'm more committed than you are, but my problem is that I look at republicanism in my life like I look at Catholicism. It's what the organizations have done, which have driven me from, quote unquote, committing to the organizations. I asked Grok again. I said, what's a Republican, Grok? Bob Swick's been doing this thing in his articles as far as definitions. It's been dynamite. I decided to steal a little.
Right.
Grok tells me a Republican wants transparency, anti-corruption, scrutinize government actions. Now, I'm not intelligent enough to write this stuff, so it's Grok. Free market principles, minimal regulatory inference, and job creation. And it's like, yeah, I said, I agree with you. And the thing is, on 30 with Tony, this past show, our subject was, we had incredible amounts of views. God bless the people watching. The blue states want for you to fail. I am firmly convinced of that. They do not want for you to succeed. So I think to your point this morning where you were saying, like the AI, like the AI is going to make people not want to work. I think that's going to happen in the blue states because there's nothing to aspire to the blue states. In quote unquote, the productive environments, it's like, well, hey, what can we do with this AI? How many innovations? How many things can we build? People are going to service it. People are going to be there to have to audit the input. I mean, there's a great opportunity. I mean, it's really no different as far as I'm concerned than anything in history where, you used to have these laws when the Model T went down the road, somebody had to walk in front of it with a lantern. It's progress. It's progress. You're not going to get away with it. And then, I'm talking with old Dan yesterday, and Dan was like, well, tell everybody about the rich paying taxes. And I said, that all kind of goes back to success. And, we got to kill the billionaires and that sort of thing. And the fundamental thing is, Lee Elci, you're not going to raise the bar by capping the bar, by regulating the bar. And I've listened to, probably over the past week, I've listened to these gas-bag idiot politicians trying to explain how taxes work. Let me tell you something, okay? From a guy that sat in some functions of this chair for 40 years, no billionaire ever paid less in tax than a working person unless they earn that money at an effective 50% tax rate, unless you're committing fraud or you're in the Cayman Islands like, Ned and Ann Lamont. That's basically the way it is. And the thing is, it's like, well, we've got to kill the billionaires. It's Chris Murphy was out with this whole thing. And I said, listen, jerk, do you realize that if you're going to talk about the billionaires, how many people does Amazon employ? I don't even know. But on every single one of those people, the Bezos or the Amazon Corporation is paying 8% in Social Security. I mean, it's like they don't get anything for that. So it's like, well, what do? Do you want to have these people on welfare? Like last night, I'm listening to AOC, and she's saying, well, we have to raise the minimum wage to $30 to spread it around. Well, if you do that, first of all, less people will be hired. And secondly, if you do that, the, quote unquote, you want all this tax money, that's only going to increase the deduction to where the corporation would be paying even less than that. Then you have this whole thing. Well, the corporation's paying no taxes, which essentially is, well, they're employing people, right? And they're employing people and paying the Social Security taxes on them. Plus they buy assets. And what do they do when they buy assets? They depreciate the assets. And when they buy the assets, they're creating jobs somewhere else. I mean, this is absolutely insane. So it's like, and then I have people saying, Trump. It's like, well, you have a small business. Yeah, I do. So do you realize you're paying 20% less in taxes because of Trump? And he gave you 3 other breaks. I mean, you can hate him all you want. And the funniest thing, and I was telling this to somebody the other day, I have these liberal women clients. I've had them for years. They're like my sisters. They're lovely, lovely, lovely women. And we have these discussions about, they're not quote unquote the Batso liberal. They are, kind of the old line liberal, that if we paid more in taxes and if we had more education, we'd have less people in prisons and. They are the ones that scream the loudest when they have to say what they have to pay. It's like, well, listen, you can't have it both ways. And this year with Trump, they got more money back. So now they're in internal conflict. It's hysterical. But look, this is all, kind of fun stuff. When we deal in all this nonsense and all this political blather, do you realize Connecticut lost 2 corporations in this past week? IDEX Health and Sciences, May 5th, 2026. This is the one last week that I couldn't say anything about. Gone. Going somewhere else. 73 employees gone, goodbye. Right. No comment, nothing whatsoever from anybody running, anybody in politics, nothing. Here's another one gone. You consider everything, all the spending, you consider all the vendors, you consider everything else. It's like, what does that mean? Sturm Ruger, right? Southport, Connecticut, longtime firearms manufacturer. Finally moving out. They've just had it with all the anti-gun baloney. And you want to know something? And I think I've said this before, and it's true. The firearms industry in Connecticut elevated many people to of color to black. They were black people. People of color of middle class status because they were, gunsmiths and they made good money and they made overtime. That's completely gone. So all the people saying, well, you got to get rid of the evil gun manufacturers. Well, look, you effectively helped destroy the black middle class by doing it. And it's like, I'm saying to myself, this is what's going out the door as we deal in all this stupid nonsense. And here's another thing. Okay. I like history. I don't like revisionist history, but I like history. Branch Rickey, who was the owner of the Brooklyn Dodgers, later I think the St. Louis Cardinals, he had this theory of the arrow. The arrow either goes up or down or goes sideways. And the arrow in Connecticut is continually gravitating. Again, they don't want you to succeed, to a welfare state. I was reading in the Norwich Bulletin, it's been all over Twitter. We have an opportunity center in Norwich. And there was this whole big thing, and Courtney came out, Lamont came out, Manisha Jutani came out, bunch of other people talking about, we are going to have all of the social things, got them listed: SNAP, Medicaid, LIHEAP, housing assistance, care for kids, employment. We're going to have this all in one building, and we're going to employ this whole staff of people to, quote unquote, make this thing, shall I say, quote unquote, an enterprise. And I'm saying to myself, like, not that people don't need help, but you can't do this with a website. You can't do this with like one person. I mean, why does government continue? And they're going to have more of these things, if you will. And what's particularly galling to me, you talk about kids, you talk about, well, what will kids grow to? Well, Connecticut is very interested in, quote unquote, getting them interested in all the benefits of welfare. The specific target of this thing, it's right in the Norwich Bulletin, ages 14 to 26. I mean, whatever happened to education, whatever happened to learning a skill, whatever happened to, and it's like, Courtney's there handing out the money like he usually does with the dumb look in his face. Got a guy running against him, right? Does he have any thoughts about this? Is this what we're going to do, is have the welfare economy forever? And this is the thing that absolutely makes me positively nuts. And the thing is, you've got when you've got a situation where this keeps going on and on, you'll lose corporations, you lose initiative, you lose endeavor. It's, I'm still searching for true north, and I ain't doing such a hot job of finding it, Elci, but the only thing I can do, as I started this conversation, is call the balls and strikes and tell you the truth as best as I know it.
His name is Tony D, and he's pointing out some of the wrongs, not only that are happening here in the state of Connecticut, but he made me think of what's happening with our sister or neighbor state. I wouldn't call it a sister state, New York, and they are fleeing New York City as fast as they can, so it's an experiment on steroids. So what's happening here, Tony, is going to happen at light speed in New York City. Where can folks find out what's happening? You've got a show coming up Thursday. What can they expect on Thursday?
Well, on Thursday, we're going to be talking about the same thing. And actually, it's this whole thing of, shall I say, communist influence, which is managing to worm its way into all sorts of things. We're looking at these movies that were made in the 1960s that were shown to the armed services about how the communist mind works. I mean, they're fantastic. We showed one last week called Red Nightmare, and basically this is what life is like in a communist country. We've got another one coming up. Actually, I forget the title, but there's so much. I mean, there's really nothing new under the sun here as far as that works. But the other thing is that we're reaching out, we're making inroads, and I'm making friends wherever we go. But I think we're at a point right now where we either decide that, we're going to do something or not. I don't want to turn into California. I mean, right. Basically, those Spencer Pratt videos, basically, if you don't know him, you've got to watch the videos he's doing. He is running as, I believe, the Republican candidate in Los Angeles, and he will show you what liberalism will do over time, and when you remove initiative and when you keep enabling things. And that is why I fight so much about against enablement, Lee Elci, because once you start down that path, you don't get up back from it.
Right.
And that's I don't want that for young people. I don't want that for myself. I mean, it's not going to matter as much to me, given age and stage, as it is to them. But this is the whole thing which politics has done to us, and I mean, it's not good.
It makes me think about your videos. Well, it makes me think also about your opening about Aaron Stewart here in the first couple of minutes that you were talking. And Friday is the convention. Saturday is the convention for Aaron. Does she survive? Do we enable Aaron Stewart despite the clear scandal that is brewing? Does she come out of this thing? Is she going to be one of the 2 or 3 candidates in your mind, Tony?
My prediction, yes. And I'll tell you why, because the bar's too low. And the thing is, it's the sort of thing where, how does she fail where Dick Blumenthal survived, where Ned Lamont survived, where all of the other people? We have come to accept this to our grave detriment. I'm not picking on her in as much. It's like, I'm not going to pick on her any more than I have in Blumenthal or Lamont. We've accepted this low bar for far too long. That's my belief is, yes, she certainly does survive.
Tony D, find him on the X. Find his own YouTube page. Tony, I'll talk to you next time. Thank you, pal.
Thank you, pal.
You already got it.